So welcome to the February 2024 Pacific Green Party of Oregon Convention. My name is John Quetzalcoatl Murray, and I'll be your convention host. I'm a journalist in Eugene, Oregon. I work with KEPW 97.3 radio, and Whole Community News is our official KEPW News website. Just want to say we have a lot of great people here behind the scenes who'll be helping with this. This is our first time running the convention this way, and there are a lot of changes. So I'm going to spend a few minutes here at the beginning just explaining what's different and also setting this up to record live on Facebook. Try that. I haven't got the correct Facebook set up, so it's going to go to my Facebook, John Q. Murray, my John Q. Murray page, but we'll pull it off of there and make that available. And for the next convention, we'll figure out how to get it on the Pacific Green Party page. So to start out, I just want to share that all of the information that's available that will be presented during this convention is available to you online, and you can go out and see it. And I'm going to share my screen and show you where that is so you can find it on your own. If you go to the Pacific Green Party webpage, www.pacificgreens.org, you'll be able to click on the page for the convention. So let me share my screen here. And we'll go to the www.pacificgreens.org. Let's see, we'll share the right browser here. And there's a button for events and then a little tab for today's convention. And if you go to that February 24th, 25th convention, the theme of our convention today is Focus on Campaigns in 2024, and there's a live link right here, the convention guide for voters. So the big change in this convention is we're shifting from only the people who can be here on a Saturday and a Sunday to vote to all of the people who signed up for the convention. There will be a week-long voting period, and we have some information about that that's available in these links through the thing. So you can see all through we have time for each item. We have links to the presentations. We have lots and lots of information that you can go and browse at your convenience. And it's modeled after the Oregon Voters Pamphlet. So the idea is like Oregon's mail-in ballot. You'll have a week-long period to vote on all of the items that are up for vote today. And you can go refresh your memory, or if you weren't able to attend the convention, you can come look at this voter pamphlet and see what it's all about. So just to explain the changes, because the state coordinating committee has made a lot of significant changes for this convention. I'm going to go to their this little pamphlet that is put together, and there's basically five things that are motivating why we're doing this today. So the first I mentioned is there'll be this online electronic voting period that lasts for a week. So to enable that, we have to be able to present all the same information to people who aren't able to attend as those who are able to be here today. To be eligible to vote, you just have to be a supporting Green Party member and registered for this convention. Another change is in past conventions, we've had a lot of side chatter and people discussing things out in the chat window that became distracting, and it took away from the time for the speaker, because people were getting distracted and participating in side conversations. So out of respect for the people who are speaking, the chat is turned off. However, you do have the Q&A function. If you look on that control bar with all the little buttons on it, there's one that says Q&A. You can go in there and pose your question. That's available to all the panelists and to the hosts and co-hosts. You can see what the question is as it's answered. And that will be used if presenters, and there's going to be some really great presenters in this convention. I'm really looking forward to a lot of them. They can either spend all of their allotted time giving their talk and their pitch, or they can split up their time between their presentation and questions. And the way we'll do that is the audience, the attendees will pose those questions in the Q&A, and the presenter and or our tech team helpers here behind the scenes will ask those questions. So it'll be a moderated list of questions, and they'll all appear in the recording at the end. And out of respect for members' time, you know, at previous conventions, folks have had to wait around for hours and hours, you know, when they were really only interested in one thing. So as you've seen, we do have the really tight deadlines for all of these items. 15 minutes for this introductory part, and then we're going to get into a look back at the party accomplishments in the past year. So my time will end exactly at 11:15, and we have a way of doing that. We don't want to interrupt the speakers, but we want to tell everybody how that's going to happen. So Lori Burton is a timekeeper for this convention. And Lori, if you want to just pop in, and I'm blabbing away here at my time, and if you would simulate what would happen at the end of my time, my final 30 seconds, the screen is going to be taken over by a timer that alerts everyone that presenter's time is coming to a close, and they only have a short amount of time left to give. So, I'm down to my final 8 minutes, but she'll only show this in reality on the final 30 seconds of the presentation. Another thing we're trying to do during this convention is bring some watershed awareness. And I've started identifying all the watersheds that the presenters live in. You'll find that at the very bottom of this document. I'll continue updating that throughout the day. But we have Peter lives in a particular watershed. Brian and Seth and Natalie also are all in the same one, Balch Creek. And that's the way watersheds are defined by the U.S. Geological Survey. You have like your home creek watershed, and that's part of a smaller river, and then a larger river, and then the big basin. So Balch Creek is part of the Columbia Slough, Lower Willamette watershed, and part of the whole Willamette River basin. Alan and I are both in Upper Amazon Creek, which connects to the Long Tom River, drains down through Monroe, and is part of the Upper Willamette, and again at the full Willamette Basin. So there's an important issue here in Lane County that we hope will spread throughout the state, and that is the Watershed Bill of Rights that's being promoted by Community Rights Group here in Oregon. So we want to promote that. We also will have announcements that we'll share through the Q&A. So for example, the first announcement is, here's the example. There's a campaign finance reform bill that's a phony CFR, and we need people to stop this fake bill. So there's a deadline coming up, and if people will put that in the Q&A, that'll be available for everyone else to look at and comment on. At the end of this convention, because this is a dramatically new format that we have not used in the past, we want to get your feedback on it. There will be an evaluation form that goes out that asks you to rate each of the segments from 0 to 5, kind of like the way star voting works. But it also will have a couple of open-ended questions that allow you to give free form whatever your thoughts are. And I would say to, one of the largest considerations really in moving to this new format is that, we recognize that consensus takes time. We were trying to reach consensus, on 10, 15, 20 contentious topics that each were only given 15 minutes in the full convention. So really, we were setting ourselves up to fail. What we're going to be doing in the future is conducting ongoing, continuing sessions where people will try to reach consensus and give these groups the time that they need to fully flesh out topics. And we will start that process now at the end of this convention for the next convention. So there'll be weeks, months of people working continuously leading up to the next convention. If they're able to reach consensus, they'll present the report at that time. If they're not able to reach consensus, by then the two opposing views will have crystallized, will have separated out, and we'll give them time on the agenda for each side to present their views, much as we will be doing on Sunday. So with that, that's my introductory spiel. The place where these next convention consensus building discussions will take place is on our groups.io discussion area. There are a lot of different subgroups out there. In fact, one of the big items in this convention brought forward by Brian Setzler is the bylaws change involving cells and clusters and changing the state coordinating committee to an administrative body. So that started in these discussion groups a couple years back. He started a group called Organizational Structure. And these discussions, what will be presented today is really the result of 2 to 3 years of ongoing discussions among people who've been deeply committed and have been trying to reach consensus on this issue. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Chuck to present the land acknowledgement. Let me find Chuck here. And Chuck, I've turned on your mic. If you could unmute and present the land acknowledgement, that'd be great. That should take it to the end of my time.
Can you share your screen? And I can read it and people can see the text? You can make it big enough. Can you do that? Okay, there it is. I'm going to read and you just scroll up for me. John, can you drop it down, please? And I'll begin reading. We, participants at this convention of the Pacific Green Party, recognize and honor the indigenous peoples of this region in whose ancestral lands we now stand. These include the Willamette, Turnwater, Tillamook, Siletz, Clackamas, Clatskanie, Multnomah, Watala, Chinook peoples, the Tualatin, Kalapuya, Umpqua, Malala, Rogue River, Shasta, who today are part of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, Klamath, Northern Paiute, Athapascans, Coos, Siuslaw, and many other native communities who made their homes along the Columbia River and its tributaries. We also recognize that this land was taken by violence and that exploitation and injustice persists. 1, in the system of laws and government, 2, in the influence of big money and in the antiquated electoral system, and 3, in latent attitudes and prejudices against historically marginalized and oppressed people. Please scroll up. Many of these persist in behaviors that people historically in power may not be aware of. Latent and inherited patterns of thought and action that ignore, diminish, and trivialize the contributions of Indigenous women, BIPOC, and other marginalized and or oppressed people. We hereby commit to listening with intention and openness, to value the participation of historically oppressed communities. We acknowledge that all marginalized voices and oral traditions have their unique wisdom to help solve the problems we face. It is therefore our intention to restore and work both within the community and within ourselves, to recognize those attitudes, working collaboratively to restore balance on earth and amongst ourselves. We will not cast aside or minimize those voices when they point to latent discrimination. We respectfully acknowledge and honor all Indigenous communities, past, present, future, and are grateful for their ongoing and vibrant presence. Scrolling up, we also thank the ancestors, Spirit, God, or simple kindness of their guidance in ensuring that our thoughts and intentions during their meeting reflect mutual respect and compassion. Did I skip a sentence? We respectfully honor. I think I did. I think I got it. Thank you.
I think you got it. Great job, Chuck.
All right.
All right, back to our agenda. We're now going to hear about, we wanted to start the convention off on a real positive note and talk about the achievements and accomplishments of the party last year. So we'll start out with the secretary and the treasurer, whoever wants to go first, Seth and Ken, just sort of giving a recap of some of the highlights, how many members, how many chapters, how many dollars. I know we've got a big contributor within the party who's been very generous. So whoever wants to speak first, take it away.
Well, since we brought up money, I guess I could go first. And I would like to thank Dennis Boyer because he is by far our biggest contributor. Last year, he contributed $800, and he's regularly gives us quite a bit of money every year. And the interesting thing is that he's not a registered Pacific Green Party member here in Oregon because he splits his time between Oregon and Wisconsin, and he keeps his registration in Wisconsin. So thank you, Dennis. We also have a few other folks like David Mull and Bruce Karsten and Carl Costell, who all contributed well over $200 each. We have approximately last year over 130 people that made contributions. Some of them did that as sustainers, and others did that as they would go to online and donate through the pacificgreens.org website, which is very handy. We have about 5 or 6 people that are monthly sustainers. If you would like to join that group, you can do that, but I would prefer that you send me an email at treasurer@pacificgreens.org so I can set it up at the bank. And that makes it a lot easier and more regular. Currently in our balance, there's $4,231.08 as of this morning. Now, for 2023, we received just under $10,000 in contributions. Some of that, $642, comes from Oregon. So when people check off on their tax forms, we can get money. Generally, we get anywhere from $3 and up. And some months we've gotten like $200 and $300 around tax time from people checking off Pacific Green Party as who they'd like to donate to. We spent over almost $5,000 or $4,500 in commissions and work by individuals like Carlotta Abrams and Starlene Rankin, who helped us clean up the database, as well as Carlotta does a lot of work in getting contributions. We did have some rather large items on the expense side, and that was for convention facilitator. Also, we did some printing and we got some swag this year. So those are kind of our big ticket items. Groups.io and Bitwarden are other items that help us keep going and communicating, as well as Zoom. or some of the other ones. We do have bank fees and other things of that nature. So that is basically what I have to say about the treasurer. I actually gave my notice that I was resigning about a year ago, effective the end of 2023, but so far no one has stepped up. If you're interested, send an email to treasurer@pacificgreens.org so we can talk and I can kind of fill you in on what's required and how we might be able to make that transition. Otherwise, I'm stuck for a while, I guess. So I'll turn it over to Seth.
Yeah, thanks for that update, Ken. So I think the notable things that we've accomplished in the past year and even longer is laying the groundwork for the future of the party by working on developing consensus around future bylaw changes, modes of operating, incorporating gender parity and youth involvement, democracy expansion by inviting people to participate via email voting, which we've trialed since the pandemic, and we're now expanding to more processes. There's also been work on innovative forms of participation, including liquid democracy efforts. We have a group of people writing software to do that because there is existing software, but we will also are looking at the watershed incorporation, and so we may need to have a custom package there. So there's been a lot of volunteer effort around that kind of thing, and the SCC has been willing to really consider how to try to improve involvement. You know, we have thousands and thousands of members, but in the past we've had conventions that have as few as like single digits of people show up, and we really need to really be into the grassroots democracy. And I've also been doing this on a temporary basis, and thankfully we've had Justin Phillip step up to take it on after this convention. So I'm going to be stepping down from this role. I think we made a lot of progress. So thanks.
Thank you for your service as the secretary. And Justin, would you care to share? I know you put together a slideshow. If you're able to share your screen, feel free to jump in. I think when we moved you up to presenter, you may have been muted. So I'll ask you to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me
there
all
you
right?
go. Yeah, I see an image of you and I can hear your voice.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. Don't worry, folks. It's only about 9 slides. I won't take too much of your time. Let me just bring that up. Bear with me. All right. Maybe I can get a better view here. All right. So here's our state of the chapter. So what we started trying to do was host monthly socials to get people more engaged. So in June of 23, we began doing that. You'll see the photo there. We even got a nice little sign so people, when they show up to the coffee shop, can find us and identify us. The idea here is that it provides members with a casual environment where they can visit with one another, talk about the issues that concern them most, share ideas. A lot of things have come out of these meetings. People have been inspired based on conversations to pursue various projects. And the meetings spread awareness about current organizing efforts. So we kind of get to hear about what each other's working on and kind of get filled in on what's going on in the community. So we've had at least 9 different individuals participated on at least one occasion. And I think here, we value a sense of community, and we believe that lays a good foundation for further organizing. So, our chapter was just founded in 2022, so we're still trying to get this off the ground a little bit, and this is a place to start. So community outreach. We've made efforts to connect with various community organizations, to volunteer, be allies, and to build networks for organizing. I'm just trying to make connections down here with people doing the good work and to be a good ally to these folks. So I listed out some of the groups we've reached out to and met with. Actually, Community Rights Lane County reached out to us. So I think that's a good sign that we're starting, to be known in the community. And they actually reached out to us for an endorsement just the other day. So we're trying to build alliances and connections with DSA. We've actually been successful in getting some DSA folks to kind of come over and be greens. And you can see some of the other ones there. I personally work on campus at U of O, and I've been taking that opportunity to meet with some of the student groups on campus. And long vision is we would have a campus chapter as well. That would be great if we could help them get that off the ground. Okay, social media. So here's how we use our social media. We use it to support organizations in our community and to promote their events in the spirit of solidarity. And below I've listed some of the different events that we've promoted on our social media, and in parentheses, you'll see the groups sponsoring those events. So a good variety, I think, and they all sort of tie to our 4 pillars. We keep that in mind. Does this relate to one of our 4 pillars before we sort of share it? Actions, most recently, we marched with SJP, which is Students for Justice in Palestine, and others on the campus of the University of Oregon, and call for a ceasefire in Gaza. So yeah, we're just trying to, again, be seen in the community, be allies, kind of walk the walk, no pun intended. Maybe a little bit. All right, so endorsements. Yeah, so Star Voting was very excited to get our endorsement. They were very grateful for that. That's something that's going to be on the ballot here in Eugene, and it's an alternative to the plurality voting we've had before. So if it passes, we will elect mayors and city council using this new voting method. And then just most recently, like I said, Community Rights Lane County reached out for us and asked to endorse this new initiative. They're collecting signatures. They got their green light to collect signatures for this watershed Bill of Rights. And we feel like that aligns really well with our stance on protecting the environment. So we were happy to sign on to that. And by the way, we send we're sending Google Forms to everyone who's been participating in the chapter. And that's how we seek consensus to arrive at an endorsement. We make sure that the membership is behind these endorsements before we proceed. Anyway, we're getting to the end of it. So I know Felipe wanted us to talk about some of our accomplishments, challenges, and lessons. So I tried to hit those points. So we reestablished in-person meetings. We tried to connect older Greens with institutional knowledge to newer Greens. We've held 8 meetings, but attendance is still a challenge. The last one, albeit frank, was 3 people, but we've had as many as maybe like 9 at any given time. So it fluctuates. It would be nice to get more folks there, but that's why we're trying to build those connections in the community. Agreeing on common ground under the 4 pillars between longtime Greens and new Greens was both a challenge and an opportunity. Connor shared that piece. How we represent the Green Party in our community matters. I wanted to make a point to say this. So when people have bad experiences organizing with us, it's very difficult to get them to come back. I've tried reaching out to Greens that were engaged before the COVID times, and it's a little difficult to get them to come back. So I think we got to be conscious of what kind of an organizing environment we create, because our actions impact all of us. So anyway, we believe it's good to create a space to listen to both newcomers and longtime Greens, with everyone getting a chance to share without overwhelming anyone. So that's why we're trying these socials as a softer point of entry. Some of the goals we have for 2024, we want to increase attendance as meetings. We've talked about starting a letter writing campaign to local media outlets, so writing letters to the editor in support of different things. We think that would be mutually beneficial for the issues we care about, and also just for promoting our chapter. With those same goals in mind, we want to continue to build coalitions with other local organizations. We want to work on clearly defining what the membership requirements are. Our bylaws say that chapters can set their own membership requirements, but it doesn't say much more beyond that. So just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I've seen some other groups like the Springfield Eugene Anti-Imperialist Coalition have put together and principles of agreement. And I think that's a great idea, just to make sure that everyone attending is kind of knows what we're all gathered there for. And then finally, I would like to plan more events. So I've got some ideas there, but it's a work in progress. Anyway, there's a shot that John took when he visited one of our meetings, and that's all I've got. Thank you. I'll mute myself in when it has any questions, or we can move on to the next chapter.
There's only a little over a minute now. Hardly time for people to speak. Somebody, please.
Okay, I guess that wraps it up. And thank you, everyone who presented. As I said, there are other chapter reports available online. A lot of great work done by the Lane chapter. There was some really interesting posters that were presented, work around permaculture. Take a look at that report. You can see some of their many events that they organized and participated in, and individual members specialized in particular areas. Chuck Fall also presented a report. He's part of a National Green Liberty Caucus, and he's participated actively in that and has shared a lot of information there for people who are like-minded and wish to join and support with that. So I've been told my time is up. Thank you, Lori. And thanks again to Lori, Bob, and the tech team behind the scenes that's helping support this convention. Our next item is, and I'm going to again share the online agenda that shows the times that each of these items begin and end. Our item now is a 45-minute item, so we'll set the timer for 45 minutes. And Felipe Laura has been working on a strategic plan for the party. So Felipe, if you can share your screen, I believe you have a presentation to give on that. And at the conclusion of that, we'll again have a pitch for fundraising to fill the coffers. We want to do a big mailing in advance of the next convention to get even more people here and do a better job at managing the Zoom meeting. So Felipe, if you're ready.
Well, thank you, John. Can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you.
Yes, I don't have a presentation. What I have here, by the way, the people involved in putting this plan together, some of them, they were sick or are sick at this moment, and others couldn't be part of the convention. So I'm here representing the whole team, and I'm going to try to talk to you a little bit about the strategic plan that we think is important for our party. So I have this little thing that I'm going to read to you. It goes like that. Dear members and friends of the Pacific Green Party, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, as we convened for our much anticipated Pacific Green Party convention, I had to admit that I'm excited about the collaborative efforts that we have led significant change in organizing our event this year. So allow me to thank everyone who made our convention happen. A special shout out to John for his essential role in putting together our first version of the voter pamphlet and for volunteering to be our meeting host and also our moderator. Thank you, John. First, let me begin by asking, what would you answer if somebody asked you one of these very, very important questions? For instance, what are the specific goals and objectives of the party for the next 2 years? Do you have an answer for that? How does the party plan to increase its membership and diversity? What strategies are in place to raise funds and There's diversify funding resources. One more, how does the party intend to recruit, support, and elect more candidates? And I'm gonna skip some of this question. And how does the party plan to increase membership and registration among Pacific Greens? And how will progress toward the party goals be monitored and evaluated over time? All these questions will be easily answered if we have a strategic plan, but we don't. And that's why I'm here before you to talk about the essence of something truly powerful, the strategic plan, and why it deserves your support and participation, as you ask. Firstly, why do we need a plan? Think of it as a roadmap guiding us toward goals. Our plan sets the course for our collective efforts, ensuring that we move forward with purpose and unity. But why should you care about this plan? Because this plan is for every one of us. It is a blueprint that empowers every member to contribute meaningfully to our shared vision. It motivates us to roll up our sleeves and be the change we wish to see. Now, you may wonder how we chose our priorities. It's simple. We listen to you through surveys and discussion. We identify key areas where we can make the most impact, like growing our membership, amplifying grassroots activism, and enhancing communication. These priorities reflect our values and aspirations as a party. But let us be clear, our plan is more than just word on paper. It's a guiding light that will let us or lead us toward a brighter future for the Pacific Green Party. It's also a call to action, a call for each and every one of us to step up and be counted. And a strategic plan is a reminder that change does not happen on its own. It requires the commitment and dedication of every member. That includes you. So I urge you all to rally behind our strategic plan and let's turn our vision into reality. Let's show the citizens of this great state that Pacific Party, the Pacific Green Party is capable of. And together we can build a future that we can all be proud of, a future rooted in justice, sustainability, and equality. I will end my comment by saying thank you to everybody that put a time on this, your passion and your commitment to our cause. And I'm going to close with this quote from Benjamin Franklin. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Finally, quoting my paisano César Chávez, si se puede, gracias. If you have any question, I'm open to answer. Thank you. Thank you, John.
All right, so we'll take questions now in the Q&A area, and Felipe will answer them. Let's see. I'm not seeing any questions at this time about the strategic plan. But Felipe, so I'll start out and ask a few questions, put on my reporter's hat here. I just want to point out, I'm wearing a white shirt and tie. This is kind of a throwback to the old convention days on, Huntley and Brinkley and Walter Cronkite attending the conventions and reporting from up in the rafters. So I know that you sent out a survey that was available to the members. And what were some of the survey results? I know there was a bunch of options that people could choose from, what people thought was the most important. What did people say was the most important?
Yes, the priority that we set, and when I say we, was all the people that have something to say. We invited everybody on the Pacific Green Party to comment and make suggestions to vote for whatever they thought that were the priority which the party should be focusing on. And we got the results. And sadly, with my computer and all stuff, I don't have exactly but if you can, John, if you can help me and put that on the screen, everybody know that we have a link where you can go and see the whole plan, the introduction, why it's a powerful tool, how you can become better member if you engage in participating and making this strategic plan and successful, and how you can get the answer to all those questions that I just wrote there. Because if, as a Green Party member, somebody asks you, okay, what are your priorities? What are your party doing to achieve this goal? Well, as a member, we all should be prepared to answer those kind of questions. And not only to answer those kind of questions, to make those reality and those goals successful, to achieve those goals. We think that having a plan will be first going to be better for the whole party because we're going to be working together. I mean, having a strategic plan is something that will engage. Obviously, you need to desire to be part of the action and be part of the solution. So I would say that my next step will be a call to action, because the strategic party is calling for different committees, and I'm asking every one of you that are here today to step up, be part, choose a committee, because 3 people cannot make this happen. It need to be the whole team, everybody doing what they can, and in the area that they feel more comfortable working on. So I don't know if when I came to the party, I never thought that we didn't have a strategic plan. I learned that at some point the party has one, but that faded out. And then we were here pulling in different directions without a specific plan. So that's why we think it is important to have a plan, and I'm asking the convention to approve at least the proposal that we have on the table. So to be our strategic plan for the next 2 years. So from now on, we can every 2 years have a strategic plan so everybody know on the direction that the party is heading to. John, if you can put that thing on the board, or if anybody has a question, please, if you feel like, yes, I will want to be part of any committee that would need, what we need, that we would need to make our plan successful, then please contact any one of us. Let us know. We need people to, and by the way, nothing is set on stone. If you want to participate, let's say, on the fundraising committee, and you have your own idea, and you bring your, like your strategy, then that's exactly what the party wants. New idea, people with that have the energy and the desire to move this forward. I'm gonna say that I believe that everybody on this convention right now believe that we can make some changes. We believe that. That's why we're here. And one way to make that happen, because it won't happen by itself, we need to actively participate and push on the same direction that the whole party is going.
I brought up that survey, and there were actually 2 surveys. 40 members participated in the first one and 30 in the second. So we got 70 responses. A couple were duplicates, but that was pretty good turnout. And the top 3 in the second one, you can see, are recruit, support, and bring in candidates, support more candidates, amplify grassroots activism. So empowering and supporting the locals and increasing membership. And that was those were the top three also in slightly different order in the first round of the survey also. So when you created the first draft of this plan, I think Devin Lawson, Devin McCourt was very involved in this also in the first strategic plan. And that it became a merger of two different the two different ideas, the two different plans that Felipe and Devin had worked on, and then they collaborated to put together this draft strategic plan. And there's a link in the chat. You should be able to get to it yourself. But the top goals in this plan then are: goal 1, increase membership; goal 2, run and elect more candidates; and goal 3, increase more funding. And there's not only the goals there, but the strategic plan also has ideas for implementing that and for achieving that. Do you want to talk at all about that, Felipe?
John, I will say this. I'm going to end with this. I think the proposal is there on the website. People that are interested can click on that, learn as much as they can about it, and if they feel like they want to be part, that would be great. But I will say that because the other two members are not able to participate, I will say why we don't use our time, right, to let the other use my remaining time. I'm going to adjourn that and allow the other chapter to talk a little bit about what they have done so far. So I will give my time to the other chapter so they can share with us the accomplishment and that they have in the 2023.
All right, thank you very much, Felipe.
Thank
And
you.
if you are a chapter that would like to use some time right now, please let us know. I know that Dan has asked for time, and I'm going to let him talk. Dan, you should be able to share at this time. If you have a slideshow, we can allow you to show that too.
I don't have a slideshow, but is it possible for me to screen share?
Yes.
I don't see a screen share button.
Okay, so what we're going to do is
Oh.
promote you to be a panelist, and you'll come back in, you'll be muted. We'll have to unmute you again. But once we get going, you should be able to see that screen share button. And there you go. I can see that you're able to talk. Are you seeing that screen share button now?
Give me a minute.
There we go. Great. And then if there are any other chapters, Lynn Benton, if you're out there and you would like to speak also. Thank you very much, Felipe, for yielding the time. I know Devin had put a lot of effort into this, and I'm sorry that Devin was unable to attend today and help present some of that great work. Go ahead,
Okay.
Dan.
Yes, thank you, Felipe, for doing the right thing. Pacific Green Party Lane accomplishments in 2023. We are one of the party's oldest continually active chapters. We are based mainly but not exclusively in Lane County. Our membership has evolved over the years and our name has changed a couple of times, but we are as busy as ever promoting green values and changing the world. We maintain a presence on several different social media sites, and we have a Google account. We meet often. For the past year, we've worked closely with the Green Liberty Caucus, which some of our members helped found, and 16 party members qualified as supporting members for this convention by attending our meetings or joint meetings with GLC. Now, although we're well developed, we are not rigidly structured, which allows us as individuals to fully promote our common cause as each sees fit. We function well as a large group because we understand and can tolerate differences of opinion among ourselves and focus on our agreements. In 2023 and early this year, we formally endorsed the Rage Against the War Machine rally, the Children's Health Defense 5,000 Voices campaign, the Oregon Public Banking Bill, and the Boycott and Divest March at the U of O. I'll scroll back up to that, but our issues of focus have lately been health and health freedom, electromagnetic pollution, GMOs, always last but not least, but ending U.S. wars and imperialism, freeing Palestine, and ending the genocide. reversing authoritarian trends in government, voting system reform, agrarian issues, aerial spraying, protecting pollinators, protecting our watersheds, and maintaining Oregon's nuclear energy moratorium. We have nearly 1,000 followers on our social media outreach. We had over 10,000 reach in 2023. We have two members who do hard work at promoting our values on radio on KEPW 97.3 in Eugene. Brad Smith regularly hosts seed propagation fairs, and this is one of the flyers from about electromagnetic pollution. Our active members in 2023 included Sabrina, Jack, Stephen, Paige, Bill, Barbara, myself, and Mariah Leone. Now, last but certainly not least, this is our statement on the ruling by the International Court of Justice recently regarding Palestine. Pacific Green Party Lane supports the International Court of Justice finding that Israel is conducting behavior likely to result in genocide, and it is therefore a responsibility of UN member nations to prevent this, especially our own, that instead is enabling Israeli genocide by providing it weapons and declining to demand a ceasefire. We therefore demand that the Biden administration cease all arms delivery to Israel, require a ceasefire, and demand that Israel provide funding for complete restoration of all it has destroyed, as assessed by the General Assembly in collaboration with UNRWA. We applaud the efforts of both South Africa and Yemen in their efforts to stop and prevent further genocide of Palestinians in recognition of their international duties, which our own country disgracefully and shamefully ignores. And that wraps it up. I would like to thank Felipe for the time. I'm done.
Thanks, Dan. In response to some of the questions out there about being able to see who's attending, I've taken screenshots. I'll try to figure out a better way of doing this, but here we have screenshots, and I'll zoom in. These are now in the at the bottom of the agenda, the convention agenda and voters guide. So you can see we have 28 people in the meeting. Here are the folks who are panelists who've been presenting. And then there's a list of the participants, the other participants, so you can see all the other people. And we'll update this, and we'll continue working behind the scenes with our crack technical team to try to find a better way to share that information in real time. Tech helpers, how are we for time? And are there other chapters that would like to present?
I would like to present, John.
All right. Tech helpers, was there anyone else in the queue before Chuck? All right,
No.
Chuck, go for it.
Can't send messages.
Maybe try to do like five, at least take 5 minutes, give them that much time. That way it's, even. And if somebody doesn't have anything to say, that's fine.
Okay, who else do we have besides Chuck? I'm not seeing any others. Portland, Natalie with Portland is one. And Chuck, okay.
Can I share my screen so I can just scroll and show the document? And I'm just going to read. It's actually pretty short.
Yeah, and there's Lynn Benton, but I don't know if anybody's presenting, but there'll be enough time.
Okay, great. All right, Chuck, if you're not able to share your screen, I'll do the transfer here to get you back up as a panelist. There you go. You'll have to unmute again after you come back in. And I'll remind you to do that. Ask to unmute. Please unmute, Chuck. And you should be able to share your screen now.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
So I'm the chief proponent of the Green Liberty Caucus chapter in Oregon. And the Green Liberty taps into the zeitgeist of doubt and distrust of government and corporations. So here's a letter. Dear members of Pacific Green Party, My name's Chuck. I'm the chief proponent of Green Liberty Caucus, Oregon chapter, and I'm one of 5 founders. And that in this document, it's in the agenda, you can find the founding document. The Green Pillars for Nonviolence and Grassroots Democracy inspire 3 pragmatic concerns of green liberty: accountability for state crimes and other malfeasance, 2, fight for transparency in government, corporate affairs, and protection for whistleblowers. Our activism is informed by the Green Party platform positions against the military-industrial complex, which includes the national security/surveillance state. The Green Party of Oregon calls for the CIA to be dismantled in recognition of its bloody history. And the PGP, in a nod to its libertarian roots, stands for limited forms of government to emphasize the grassroots community solutions over progressive solutions that are prone to regulatory capture by corporations. So what is the state of the Green Liberty Caucus? Since we formed, we have opposed the federal COVID program in general, protested war, and fought for representation on the PGP website to have access to party resources. In this link, you can find the Green Liberty Convention proposals, which include convention vote to give Green Liberty chapter access to party resources. Sadly, we are denied access by the SEC, and you can see information on that resolution. We have an open letter to the Oregon governor and the Oregon health authorities asking them to end the COVID vaccines. It is unconscionable that children are given this experimental medicine, if we could even call it that. We're calling for a moratorium on COVID countermeasures. Members are requested to vote for a resolution that would stop the COVID vaccines and create a congressional tribunal to study the Fauci cover-up and censorship of the lab origin, look into the warp speed production of vaccines, and study the long-term consequences of the mass inoculation program. We have information on the COVID moratorium at the website. You can find this document and click on the links. We are in solidarity with the worldwide movement to stop the vaccines. We have appealed to Jill Stein to support the moratorium, and we've advanced a call for medical freedom that would include access to integrative medicine that is free from big pharma medical industrial complex domination, also known as Rockefeller medicine. Green Liberty has issued a solidarity statement in support of Children's Health Defense, a media and advocacy operation that seeks accountability for the ill effects of vaccines and other toxins, including radio wave frequency signals shown to cause ill effects. Green Liberty has issued a statement of solidarity against the Ukraine and Gaza wars. These military ventures are expressions of the forever war spawned by the war on terrorism after 9/11. And there's other links. We issued a support of solidarity to exit the WHO on their fraudulent participation in the COVID pandemic. Finally, the Green Liberty chapters issued solidarity statements in favor of banking and monetary reform, all grounded in the Green Party US platform. We're advancing a resolution. In closing, Green Liberty Caucus provides a political home for dissident voices. We encourage forming alliances with others to find ways to liberate society from the power of the military-industrial complex and the banking cartels. We can grow our ranks by engaging on issues that are important, like fighting to secure a republic from plutocratic control by calling out the malfeasance and demanding accountability for the harm caused. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share a State of the Chapter report. Chuck out.
Great job, Chuck. Thank you very much. And now we'll turn to Natalie and the Portland chapter. And then Natalie, if you could just kind of segue into the next part, which on the agenda is shown as the fundraising appeal. And then following Natalie, we start at 12:15. So 15 minutes for those 2 parts. And then we'll go to the Oregon Peace Network. If we get Peter and Emma, we'll try to be getting them set up so they're ready to go at 12:15. So thank you, Natalie.
Just a sec, before you segue, the secretary items for Natalie, is there somebody from Lynn Benton that can present after her Portland chapter? That's the question.
Great question. Is there anyone from Lynn Benton who would like to offer a chapter report? Please raise your hand and or type into the Q&A panel and let us know. We'll be happy to give you some time.
One of us could read the report. It's pretty short.
Okay, if we don't hear from them, Natalie, would you be comfortable doing that? I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A from
Well,
them. So why don't you go
somebody-
ahead with their report and then the Portland report and then the fundraising appeal. Thank you, Natalie.
Okay. So I'm gonna share if I can share my screen, and then I'll just show the Benton Lane report. So the Benton chapter of the Pacific Green Party has existed and held regular monthly meetings since 2000. During the pandemic, they moved to Zoom meetings mostly, and in the past year, they have had in attendance between 3 and 20 people. They've invited speakers to the meetings to address local and state issues, including Beyond Toxics, to inform us of the Coffin Butte landfill north of Corvallis, Chuck Wheeler from the Coast Range Association to discuss the effect of the corporate lumber industry on local communities, and Patrick Stern from Brownsville to discuss his potential non-affiliated candidacy for Linn County Commissioner. For the last 3 years, we have held a weekly peace vigil on Friday evenings in front of the Benton County Courthouse. And you can probably read, I don't want to just read something that you can read. Since October, they have participated in weekly Palestine support rallies on Saturdays that have attendance of 60 to 300 people. They have 2 members in elected office, the Benton County Circuit Court Judge Matt Donahue, and the Corvallis Rural Fire District Director Alex Polikoff. Corvallis adopted ranked choice voting for election of city councilors and mayor. This was used for the first time in November 22 elections and was critical in electing the mayor and 1 city councilor. The chapter tables to collect petition signatures, distribute literature, and discuss issues at events as they occur, including Corvallis Sustainability Coalition annual Sustainability Fair, the Oregon State University Beyond Earth Day events, and the OSU Radical Student Fair. The chapter has donated money to United Campus Ministry at Westminster House, which has provided them with other progressive organizations meeting space for many decades, and also to the local independent radio station KORC and Pastors for Peace, which takes medical aid to Cuba. And the chapter members are active participants in Citizens Climate Lobby, Healthcare for All Oregon, and Corvallis Folk Music Society. If anybody from the Linn Benton chapter wants to speak, that would be really great. We'd love to have you on board.
I'm a member of Linn Benton, and I don't know if anybody else was able to attend. There probably is. Thank you for presenting that.
My pleasure. Now let me just share my screen. Share screen. So this is a very brief recap of what we do with the Portland Greens and the plans for next years. So we're actually very active in legislation and support of allies. We attended First Shot for All events, connected with our friends from Pueblo Unido. And we also had several bills that we followed and provided testimony there for, and got some of them passed. But having a presence in the legislative session is actually really important, because when we present testimony as a Pacific Green Party, all of our allied, or all of the allied organizations see our name and they see us being present. So that's actually a really important thing. And there are a couple of bills that are going on. In particular, there is a very important bill that we all please need to provide testimony for before noon tomorrow, and I'll just get to that. But that's one of our biggest actions. And through the legislative action, we have developed relationships with, for example, Friends of Family Farmers in Pueblo Unido. We also key players in campaign finance reform and challenge unfriendly measures. One of our members, Seth in particular, is looks for petitions that are very unfriendly to the Green Party or to democracy in general, does the research and submits testimony. And we got a few of those petitions knocked off the ballot, in particular the open primaries. The Portland Green Party members also are the people who are managing all of the petitioners for campaign finance reform. And we're managing, so far we have managed up to 200, not us in particular, but a Green Party member managed approximately $250,000 worth of investment in petitioning for campaign finance reform. Here we are verifying signatures and collecting signatures. And I'm sorry, it's just me because it's my camera, but there it is. Very important, I encourage you all to please donate. And if you can, please make a recurring donation. This is linked to the presentation that I have for Portland. We need to support the campaign finance reform effort because we're facing a lot of very well-founded opposition. And you can make it a recurring donation just for 2024. It's going to be super important. The other thing is, please go to Honest Elections, and I'll have a link later. Let me just go. I'll have a link later. And download the petition form and either fill it yourself or collect 10 signatures. But that's a big part of what we do in Portland. We're also present at quite a few rallies and like town halls, bike town halls. Here is with a representative CanFam. This was a Martin Luther King. This is a Martin Luther King event. And one of our stellar Green Party members created some swag. So please go to our website. And from our website in the Pacific Green Party, you can now purchase your own very hat and make donations for buttons. So when you're participating in a rally or a tabling event, please wear your green swag so that people recognize it's important to be seen being green, because Greens do a lot of the work, but they don't claim it for the party. So we're not visible, but we need to be visible. Like DSA goes and does their things and everybody has a red shirt. So we need to do much more of that. Plus, become a recurrent donor. It's very important that we should look into possibly contracting with organizers, because a lot of this work is going unpaid and it's just not fair for the people who have to put so much work into it. There. This is we are also present at tabling. This is our little presentation, Raging Grannies, some our friends with the World on Fire Fire Department. And what we want to do in 2024. So far, we are mostly kind of an informal network of Green Party members who are doing stuff. We get things out, we go to social media and so on. But what we want to do next year is have more of these meetings and actually foster the development of local cells throughout the Portland area. Right, and now that the state is more or less better organized, we are going to focus on developing those local cells. And we also want to develop a concerted strategy to recruit on campus. How to get involved? Join the volunteer onboarding meeting. It's linked to our pacificgreens.org/events page. Marnie Glickman is a longtime Green Party member. She used to be a fundraiser for Emily's List. She's served in public office. She's very well connected, and she's running for District 2, where Portland is electing a whole new form of government this year. So we have already identified a number of races that we want to work on. We need to have a formal endorsement meeting, but a lot of our efforts are going to be spent on getting Marnie elected. She's actually a really amazing candidate, and she's going to come with very high ranked, very high level endorsements. Again, the link to her campaign is on our website. And right after the convention, we need to focus on Mike Schmidt's campaign. He is the current DA who's done a lot of restorative justice changes. And he's coming under a lot of attack from big money, big developer money. And we absolutely need to get involved in this campaign. The race is in May, and it's going under a lot of the radar. So either you can join directly their campaigns or contact us through campaigns@pacificgreens.org. And we'll just make sure to involve you. In the short term, we're also concerned about collecting signatures for Idaho, but we'll talk about it at the presidential nominating thing. And that's it. So that's what we're doing.
Thanks so much, Natalie. Fantastic. A lot of work going on in Portland. And of course, there's that historic change in the form of Portland government this year with the election. And that should be really interesting. We have a few minutes. Oh, there's Emma. Great. Hey, but before Emma and Peter will present, so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about fundraising. Natalie, do you want to get back on, or Felipe, and talk about the need to raise money for our mail out in the next convention, which we'll be setting the date for at the conclusion of this one.
Let me do it like this. We do it.
Sure, go for it.
Now that we have a strategic plan, it's going to be much easier to fundraise effectively. But right now, we need to fundraise approximately $2,000 so we can send the mail out to all of the registered Greens in the state. That mail out is going to cost about $4,400. We don't have the funds right now, but so we want to encourage everybody to donate generously, specifically for this mail out. I know that moving forward, because we're going to have a plan and we're going to focus on fundraising as a strategic move, we are going to be able to fundraise effectively. But right now, this is what's really very important. Please go to Pacific Greens/donate and become a sustaining donor. But if you can donate like a generous amount for this mail out, it would be very important.
Great. I just wanted to repeat, we talked a little about this at the beginning of the meeting, but due to the change in format, there isn't as much opportunity for people to speak. So we are allowing everyone, because I'm a newspaper guy, longtime rural community weekly newspaper editor, publisher. I would be happy to meet with anyone and record your 3-minute speech. Any topic that you want to talk on, please contact me. I'll put my information in the chat. It's also wholecommunity.news is our website, WHOLE community.news. All my contact information is there. John Quetzalcoatl Murray. And we're collecting 3-minute speeches on any topic and putting those together and making those available for people. Natalie, you need to talk about the signatures for the pamphlet.
Yes, super important. So we can put the party statement in the pamphlet that goes out for the primary elections. The deadline is in March or mid-March, and we need to collect 600 signatures. Because of the convention, we have not finalized the statement to submit to the Secretary of State, but we need to do it this week. We have a draft. As soon as that's up, we're going to share through our groups, IO group, and our social media, the signature sheet of the petition to collect signatures so that our party statement appears in the voter's guide that's sent for the primary elections. We need to collect 600 signatures, and we're aiming by March 15th to make sure to meet the deadline. Please contact campaigns@pacificgreens.org. If everybody here on this register for the convention collects 10 signatures, it's going to be a breeze, but we need everybody to jump in.
Thank you so much, Natalie, and perfect timing on that. We're right at the time to start our next presentation. This is on the Oregon Peace Network, and we have two special guests, and I'll let you introduce yourselves. Emma, oh,
Hi, my name is Emma Luga. I'm with Jewish Voice for Peace.
And I'm Peter Burgell. I'm with Oregon Peaceworks, and I've been working on the Oregon Peace Network.
and Peter, I think you were going to go first with the presentations.
Is this the time?
This is the time, and
All right.
let me, Lori, how much time does Peter have? Peter and Laura and Emma are going to split the time, and what we're going to do is we don't want to interrupt you as you get close to the end, but we'll take over the screen and show a timer as it counts down for the last 30 seconds, so you'll know that it's time to start wrapping up and turning it over to the other person. Lori is on that, and let me just double check our document to make sure how much time you have.
Both speakers have 15 minutes. I'm not sure they'll actually even use it, but it'll be time for Q&A, and they can slide back and forth.
Great, yeah, and we have,
Timer.
thank you, Lori, and we have people that'll be monitoring the Q&A function, so you can choose to take the whole time to speak and give a presentation, or as questions come in, you should be able to see them too in the Q&A panel. There's a button down at the bottom that says Q&A that should be accessible to you, and you can read those. And then if there's time left over, we can go through those questions and pose them to you. So Peter, welcome, Peter, and thank you for coming. And let's hear about the Oregon Peace Network.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you for all for the opportunity to be here. Just tell you a little bit about who I am. I was the executive director of Oregon Peacework for about a dozen years. That's OregonPeaceworks.org. Also the editor of the Peace Worker newspaper, now an online news magazine since 1988. Currently work on nuclear weapons issues with Nuclear Abolition Now, which is a project of Oregon Peaceworks, and also with several national groups. So the purpose of the Oregon Peaceworks, or the Oregon Peace Network rather, was to build a more peaceful world. And the work is really becoming much more critical. Wars are raging all over the place. Climate change and nuclear weapons threaten everything that we hold dear. Our democracy is in decline. Economic inequality is destroying families and livelihoods. Racial tensions have flared up once again. Environmental threats are all around us, and U.S. immigration policy is deeply unfair. So there's lots to work on in the broader area that we consider to be under the heading of peace. My feeling is that if we continue to work in silos, which we have done for most of my organizing career, it seems likely that no cause is going to gather enough support to force change in the face of the corporate interests that oppose us. And so it really is necessary that we come together in some form. And so the Oregon Peace Network is an effort to do that, to strengthen and broaden the work for peace in Oregon. And as I say, we define peace quite broadly, including many kinds of efforts to build a better and more secure, more democratic and more just society, locally, nationally, and globally. We want to provide a space where groups can learn about each other's work and seek opportunities to cooperate more effectively and support each other's efforts. We are not trying to form a new group. We're trying to form a network of groups. So kind of the beginning of a movement of movements. We want to do three things specifically at the outset here. We want to jointly create a strategic peace plan for the state. We want to share diverse ideas for working independently and together. And we want to support each other's projects. So the history is that the Oregon Peace Network idea, which I'll be calling OPN grew from combining 3 initial initiatives. Group in Portland called itself the Oregon Peace Network and began to reach out to other peace-oriented groups in Oregon. A group in Corvallis, which had successfully gotten city council there in Corvallis to divest from military investments, began to reach out to other groups to encourage the spread of their approach. And Oregon Peace Works, which has become much less active since closing its doors and laying off its staff about 10 years ago, became aware of these 2 other efforts and proposed that the new network slowly evolve into what Oregon Peace Works had once been, which was a statewide peace organization. So after meeting sporadically for about a year or so now, a core of representatives from different groups has somewhat solidified an operating structure. And we are now seeking input from groups and individuals regarding what kind of network they want to see develop, if any. So the groups that have been participating so far have been Oregon Peace Works, Jewish Voice for Peace, Planet versus the Pentagon, Oregon Green Party, Veterans for Peace, Progressive Democrats of America, and the Mid-Valley Solidarity Coalition. We'd like to include other groups such as Divest Oregon, Sunrise Corvallis, Sunrise Movement, Democratic Socialists of America, 350 and all its chapters, the Ashland Peace House, Rural Organizing Project, NAACP, and the Coast Range Association, to name a few of many others that could be part of this. So the way that we would like to invite you to participate is to share your views on what kind of a peace network you want to see develop in Oregon, and to work with us either as an individual or as a group representative. And I'm going to put in the chat right now. No, I meant chat. There. I'm going to put in the chat right now a link to a Google Forms questionnaire. And we'd like to have you fill this out by March 1st if you're interested. It seeks your input and an email address for getting in touch with you in the future. And it will tell us a great deal more about what the people who are potential members and group members of the Oregon Peace Network actually want to see the Oregon Peace Network become. So with that, I will encourage everybody to click on that link right now, and then you can come back to the convention, but it'll be open when the convention closes, and you can fill it out at that time. So at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions. I think I have a little time left, so go for it.
When is a coalition meeting usually?
Well, we have a kind of a monthly meeting that has been steady, and I have to look up what day it is, but if you sign that, if you at least give us your email address in the on the questionnaire there, we'll make sure that you get the information about when the meetings are. And I think you're already on that, aren't you, Natalie? Any other questions?
I think they meet on Wednesday evenings.
Yeah, I've got a lot of meetings that go around in my head. I don't keep that information in my head, but we'll make sure you know about it. Have there been any
We're not seeing any questions yet, but maybe we can go to Emma's presentation and then take questions for both of you at the conclusion of that and give more people time to absorb that. A lot of information there, great information, and we've shared the link also in the agenda so that people who are coming back in the convention voters guide, they'll also have that opportunity to click on that link and fill out the questionnaire. And I'll just bring that up because I went out there to make sure it worked. So here's the Oregon Peace questionnaire, and it does ask you for your email to get started. So I'll just get started and then show what the questions are here. Are you interested in the Peace Network? Do you want to participate and stay informed? So they will have your contact information, be able to find out what your interests are, and then connect you with the network and build this movement of existing groups. So Emma, are you ready to present?
Yes, I'm ready.
Great. Emma Lugo, thank you so much for being here.
Great, thanks. Yeah, my name is Emma Lugo. I am a former two-time candidate for U.S. Senate as a Green Party candidate. I ran for U.S. Senate once in Tennessee, and then I ran in 2014 against Jeff Merkley as a Green Party candidate. And in 2014, I ran because that was the last time that Israel mass murdered Palestinians. It was during the 2014 war on Gaza, in which 2,600 Gazans were murdered by Israel. And at that time, Jeff Merkley was supporting Israel. And I decided to, kind of let Jeff Merkley know that there were a lot of people who didn't support what Israel was doing. And maybe a really clear way to make that clear to him was by running against him. Even though as a minor party candidate, you really don't have any chance of winning, but it's still a great way to really make an important statement, as Jill's going to be doing when she's here on Monday. Anyways, so I am working with Jewish Voice for Peace. I've been involved off and on with Jewish Voice for Peace for about 20 years. And I am happy to report that this time around, Jeff Merkley was one of 3 US senators who voted for a ceasefire, which is just amazing that we made that much progress. He was one of only 3 senators in the entire country. So that just shows you how far we have to go. Anyways, let's just talk a little bit about this data, about what's been going on since October 7th, which was a horrible day. I was leading Torah study that day at Congregation Shir Tikva, where I'm the president, and it's Shmini Aretz, which is the 8th day of, it's the very end of the Jewish high holiday season. And on that day, 1,200 Jewish citizens, Jewish and American, and people from all around the world were mass murdered by people who crossed the fence from Gaza into the south of Israel, mostly where the kibbutz are. And they killed women and children. They killed old people and young people. They killed about 250 people at a rock concert. And it was the worst day of mass murder in Jewish history since the Holocaust. Although it's just the latest in a long, long line of pogroms and mass murders of Jews that have happened ever since antiquity. So that was horrible. But then what Israel did in response to that was, since October 7th, Israel has displaced 2 million Gazans. 99% of the population of Gaza has been run out of their homes. They've destroyed over 50% of of Gaza's entire housing stock. They cut off their water, they cut off their electricity. They've mass murdered over 27,000 people, including over 9,000 children, 8,000 women, and they've injured 64,000, 65,000 people so far. Right now, Israel's they're in the middle of doing the cruelest thing I can imagine, one of the cruelest things I've seen in modern history. They've taken all of those refugees, they've put them down in Rafah, and now they've said, you've got to get out of here and there's no place for you to go. And that's the whole point of what Israel's doing, is that it's trying to make life just completely unbearable, as it has for the people of Gaza for the last almost 20 years. And there's a group of people in the United States. They belong to Jewish Voice for Peace. We're a national organization of Jews and allies who are working together to end Zionism. We're specifically anti-Zionist, and we are, you know, our eyes are on Israel. We want to end this colonialist, militarist state that has just been the cause of so much suffering and anguish for Palestinians. There's been over 750,000 Palestinians displaced since 1948. Israel has taken, you know, almost 75% of a country that it did not have a legal right to. You know, I mean, people may say, well, Israel should have a legal right to be in Israel because we were all kicked out 2,000 years ago. But in the 2,000 years since that happened, there's been 2,000 years of other people living there. And you can't just go in and tell people who have been living somewhere for 2,000 years that it's not their home. So anyways, we are involved here in Portland. We have about 120 active people on our Slack. We're working, we coordinate with National Jewish Voice for Peace, which is based in Berkeley. And we work with chapters all around the country to do coordinated actions that are designed to raise the profile of the voices of anti-Zionist Jews and to call out the direct harm that US policy is doing and US support of Israel is doing for the people of Palestine. We have many ways that you can get involved. You don't have to be Jewish. You can be an ally and you can be involved. We have weekly meetings as part of our Jewish Voice for Peace steering committee. And we have about 10 different working groups that you can plug into. We have a working group dedicated to communication. We have one dedicated to protests. We have one dedicated to political research, one dedicated to political outreach. We have one dedicated to community education. We have an IT group. It's really amazing. I mean, I've seen how this group of mostly young folks, they're almost everybody in the group right now is like in their 20s, and they pretty much took it over. Before that, it was mostly folks in their 60s, and we met like once a month, and every now and then we did something. But as soon as October 7th happened, that group of older folks pretty much got absorbed into this whole new thing. And right now we have about 400 people who are actively engaged in the group on some level, and about 120 coordinators. So coming up, our next event is going to be, right now we're in the middle of working with, right now we're right in the middle of working with the Multnomah County Commission. It looks like we have, after a very successful campaign effort last month with the Multnomah County Commission, it looks like we're going to be getting a ceasefire statement from the Multnomah County Commission, which is just amazing. We're so excited about that. Of course, we just had Ron Wyden flip, really. I mean, that was just amazing to get Ron Wyden to support a ceasefire. So all of our effort right now is toward calling for a ceasefire. Like, that's the very first thing that needs to happen. It's the most minimal thing that needs to happen. I mean, what needs to happen is Israel needs to be tried before the ICRC, which it has been. It needs to be convicted of genocide. It needs to pay reparations to the people of Palestine. It needs to rebuild Gaza. And it needs to work toward a peace process. That's the ultimate goal. But right now, what we need more than anything is we need a ceasefire. And that's what all of our work is going toward. So that's a little bit of what we're doing. I'm happy to take any questions. And thanks so much.
That's wonderful news about the senator endorsing a ceasefire. That's wonderful. We do have a few questions now that have come up, yeah, in the Q&A area. And one is about how does the network decide what particular actions to get involved with? Is that up to each individual group, or does the network make a decision and then all participate together? That's for you, Peter.
Yeah, well, up till now, it's been kind of a sharing thing so that people get together and they have been telling each other what they're doing and inviting other people to participate. And the hope is that members will take the invitation back to their local groups, and the local group will then decide whether or not to get involved.
All right, I hope that answers the question for the person that asked that. And here's one for both of you. Are there any joint peace groups with both Palestinians and Jewish members?
Oh yeah, there's several. So let's see. There's two in Portland, just in Portland, there's several. But in Portland, two of the most active right now, there's one group called the Jewish Palestinian Alliance of Oregon, and they meet every Monday. If you email me, I'll be happy to get you their contact information. You can also Google them. They're called the Jewish Palestinian Alliance of Oregon. And then there's another group called the Oregon to Palestine Coalition. And that's a group of younger folks, the same kind of folks who are kind of really in charge right now, JVP. And they're super active. So you can also look them up. They're called the Oregon Palestine Coalition. There's also, I mean, other groups like Students United for Palestinian Human Rights and Americans United for Palestinian Human Rights are two other organizations that are largely composed of Jewish and Palestinian, or Palestinian and Jewish communities organizing together.
What about Zaytuna? Does that still exist?
Yes, I don't know much about them, but I have heard of them. Yes.
I don't either.
There's a request, Emma, that you post your email, that you share
Sure.
that in the chat. And we'll go back to the recording and get the names of all those groups and make those available in the convention notes.
Sure.
The next question is for Emma. Does the JVP meet with the presidential candidates, and do they intend to endorse a candidate or candidates who call for a ceasefire?
We do have a 501c4. You know, I'm sure they would be happy to meet with Jill Stein if Jill would like to speak with JVP. I think that's something that would have to happen on the national level. But I would definitely encourage Jill to get in touch with JVP, especially since Jill has a little bit of heritage herself. It would be great to get her endorsement. I mean, it would be great to give us, well, you know what I'm saying. It would be great to give her our endorsement, but again, that's something that happened on a national level. So if you'd like, get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to put you in touch with the political arm of our coalition, and they can get those wheels in motion if they aren't already in motion.
Thank you very much. Next question is for Peter and the Oregon Peace Network, and it's specifically about joining with people from the other side of the ideological spectrum. Would you join any future Rage Against the War machine rallies or Humanity for Peace rallies to expand the Peace Network? Working with libertarians and LaRouche members would bring more people together in common cause. They have a different ideology generally than the groups that are currently involved, but this would be an area where there is common agreement on ending wars. How would the individual groups approach that, and how might the network approach it? It sounds like from the previous question and answer, oops, my connection's unstable. That this would be information that would be shared, that this opportunity was available, and then it would be up to the individual groups to determine their participation. Is that a correct
Yeah,
understanding?
that's right. And I would add one more thing, and that is that there's a question on the questionnaire about that very question. You know, how important is it for us to reach across to people of other views on these things? And that is really a question that we haven't settled yet amongst ourselves. So if you have views on that, I would encourage you to fill out the questionnaire, and especially that that particular question, and give us your views on that.
I mean, I'd like to say I'm also a member of the Oregon Peace Network. And if the group was not committed to nonviolence, it would be hard for me to support working with that group. So that would be a real basic minimum. It would have to have a commitment to nonviolence.
There's also a question about that particular the importance of nonviolence on the questionnaire. And I agree with Emma. I would have a difficult time working with a group that didn't have nonviolence as part of its approach.
All right, so a pitch for everyone to please go out and fill out that questionnaire. Let them know what your interests are, how you want to be involved, and we'll post that again in the chat throughout the convention, so you get an opportunity to see that for people who are coming in during other presentations and may have missed this one because they're at work or have family responsibilities or whatever. We'll try to continue sharing information from the different segments throughout our convention so that everyone has an opportunity to make sure they see these important messages. Anything to wrap up, and any upcoming events besides the meeting that people may be interested in attending?
Well, I'll just say to underline the fact that Oregon Peace Network is still very much a work in progress. There's very little that's been set in stone yet, and so that's the reason that we're doing this questionnaire and reaching out to all the groups to see what it would take to get your group to become more involved in a network kind of function.
Sure, and Jewish Voice for Peace, several things coming up in the Portland area. On Monday, we're going to be at the Multnomah County Commission again this Monday morning. We're going to be there hopefully to watch the Multnomah County Commission pass the ceasefire resolution. So we'll be standing outside before the meeting, and then we'll be in the atrium after the meeting. Also, March 1st, there's going to be a march and rally organized by a group allied with JVP in Portland. And March 18th, we have two events. We're going to be doing a screening of the film Israelism. That's going to be at the Clinton Theater. So if you'd like to come out for that, it's going to be a movie screening of the film Israelism. And then on that same night, we're having a panel discussion over at the Eastside Jewish Commons with two Palestinians and two Jews about what do we owe Gaza. So those are all coming up in the next month.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We have a few minutes before the next presentation, so if folks want to take a break, feel free. I'll continue to just talk because both Emma and Peter have been involved with community media. So I'll give a pitch for community media. Of course, we're partnered up with Eugene Peaceworks Radio here, KEPW, in Eugene, and Peaceworks was instrumental in forming that here locally. And Emma, from reading her biography, I understand that she's been associated with KBOO. So just fantastic representation of local media. You know, other Green Party members are also involved. Dan Pulyu has his own show on KEPW as well. Body Count, he tracks all of the Empire's wars going on around the world. And we also are huge fans of Coast Radio. I don't know if there are any Coast Radio folks in the convention here, but they do fantastic work as well. So as you all know, it's break time here. I'm just going to fill some airtime and talk about the crisis in local news. We are shedding
Before I go,
newspapers.
Just before I go, as long as
Sure.
you're talking about radio, see Ken Adams is there, and I want to put in a plug for KMUZ Radio, which is also doing a terrific job here in Salem.
Thank you so much, Ken. Yeah, Ken and I have been talking in the background about his work on the radio station, and he was hoping to retire, but they pulled him back in because he's so valuable there. So yeah, thank you, Ken, for all you do. Fantastic work. You know, and all of this really, we're filling an important gap. Here in Eugene, our once beloved local daily newspaper, the Register Guard, has been gutted by corporate ownership at Gannett. Now, the guys at the University of Oregon are telling us that these newspapers are being bought up by, institutional investors. They're part of, these huge, what are they? I don't even know how to characterize it. They're one asset in the portfolio that are designed for profit and meeting the shareholders' needs. So they've just cut resources, and I'm sure what we'll be seeing in the near future is the use of AI to generate your local news stories, whether it's accurate or not. They don't really care. But I would encourage all of you to support what remaining newspapers are still out there. In Portland, here in Eugene, we have the Eugene Weekly. Portland Mercury recently endorsed and gave a lot of publicity to the upcoming Jill Stein event. And of course, all of these community radio stations, we're helping to fill the gap. We are doing a lot of work on the low-level boards and commissions, neighborhoods and nonprofits, preparedness for the Cascadia earthquake, and public comment. We cover a lot of public comment, and it's really fun. If you have some spare time, I recommend that you go out and provide some stories, provide some coverage of all of these important events. Thank you, Lori. My time is up. And I've successfully filled the air there. On to our next item, which I believe is going to be Natalie.
Yes, Devon was actually going to present, but he was called to work last minute, which is one of the reasons why we're now hosting the conventions in a more flexible ways to allow people who work and who have to work to participate, even though they have to make a living. So the next segment is about the presidential nominating process, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So this is a page from the web, from the national pages. And basically the way that the process works is we qualify presidential potential candidates by requiring them to collect a certain number of signatures from Green Party members or a certain amount of money and have replied to a questionnaire and meet certain criteria to make sure that they're running serious campaigns. And right now we have 3 candidates who have met those criteria. Those are, those are Jasmine Sherman, Jorge Avalos, and Jill Stein. And we will host, the Green Party United States will then host a national convention, which is going to take place July 11 to 14. And each state is allotted a certain number of votes based on the size of the state, how active the party is, and participation in the national committee. Oregon has 11 delegates, so we're going to be electing 11 delegates to vote for the presidential nominee at the national convention. Again, it's going to be July 11 to 14. This year, the national convention is going to be an online convention because of largely because of resources and the difficulty to get everybody at the same place. And in Oregon, we are going to elect 11 delegates, very likely single transferable vote, ranked choice voting process. One of the items that we have set for the convention is to decide on the next convention dates. That's going to be taking place tomorrow. So we want to actually hold the convention very early on, late March, early April, and we looked with holidays and things like that, so that once the national candidate is nominated, then we can formally promote the candidate. Right now, we have to do it as individuals. We cannot do it as a party. We cannot necessarily put party resources behind it. We are hosting a candidate who's coming to town, just like we hosted Dario Hunter, and we've hosted other candidates, presidential candidates who came to Oregon in the past. We've always made space and hosted them and provided them a platform. But we cannot actively campaign until we have a nominee, because it would be unfair. So we're proposing to host our nominating convention early April, late March, early April, elect 11 delegates who are going to then vote at the national convention. There is a pact by several states or a number of states across the country to do proportional representation, meaning that to allot the votes of the state based on the number of votes that each candidate has received. Meaning, let's say we have 11 delegates, and when we nominate our nominee in at our own state convention, we're going to elect our nominee as well. If, let's say, Jill Stein gets 60% of the votes, and then Jorge Avalos gets 20% of the votes, and Jasmine Sherman gets 10% of the vote, there is a pact across the state, across the country, to distribute the number of delegates based on proportional representation. That is going to be decided at our presidential nominating convention in April. So some of those items on how we're going to elect our presidential nominee and how we're going to allocate our Oregon votes is going to be discussed in April. So that's the process, and in the detailed agenda, you will have videos for the different candidates and also their website. Did I leave anything else? Because I wasn't supposed to be doing this. I'm just picking up from Devin. Any questions? Let me see.
I'm not seeing any questions about this topic in the chat. I guess we could go ahead and play the videos and talk about the different candidates. Maybe we'll leave a moment for people to pose any questions about that. But that'll be taking place at the next convention. And what are the options for that again?
John, can you?
Yep.
Got a question. If you could please post the Zoom phone number, access, ID, and passcode.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'll do that.
In the chat so that anybody could call in because they could listen.
It's also linked on the webpage for the convention, the phone number.
Right, but if they're on a phone, yeah, I'm not sure. It was just a question asked, John.
Yeah, I'll respond to that right now.
What I would suggest is the next presentations are at 1. Could we have like 5-minute break and encourage people to donate to the Green Party using our link from the agenda? We can put the link. We actually really need to fundraise for the for the mail out, and I want to make sure to do that.
Are you done the candidate explanation? Because that's this time.
Yeah, it sounds like Natalie has completed.
Break till 1.
Okay, by popular demand, we'll take a short break and be back right on the dot of 1 o'clock.
Can you please link the donation button to the chat so people can donate? And if you could, please make it a recurring donation this year. Thank you.
Yes, I'll put the link. Please click on it and sign up for a recurring donation. And we'll see you all at 1 o'clock. Thank you. We'll give people a few minutes. The next item wasn't scheduled to start till 1:05, so I'll queue up the 3 presidential candidate videos. We are still recording, great. And then there's a prefatory remark. So this will be on the recording just in case not everybody's back. The Pacific Green Party would like to apologize to candidate Jasmine Sherman, who is planning to attend this convention and speak in person. Unfortunately, a single member of the state coordinating committee, without consulting with other convention organizers, sent an email message to Jasmine's campaign withdrawing the invitation to attend, saying the convention had changed plans and that the PGP would no longer be featuring presidential candidates. The Pacific Green Party wishes to apologize deeply for both the content and the tone of that email. One member of the SCC characterized it as an unforced error. Quote, "The PGP has put its foot in its mouth." And I will quote briefly from a written apology sent to Jasmine and the campaign from one member of the SCC. Quote, "I'm sorry you were treated this way. We weren't looped into the decision. Completely uncool. As an Oregon Green, I had looked forward to Jasmine. I really love Jasmine's media and presence from what I've been able to see and helping change and grow the conversation. It is obvious you all are putting your heart into it. Thank you all for all you do." So again, the Pacific Green Party apologizes to Jasmine and the Jasmine Sherman campaign. And you're invited to share your thoughts on this matter and any other matter in the form of a 3-minute speech, which we'll be sharing through the Pacific Green website with all the other convention materials. And with that, I think I have my video set up to play the 3 presidential candidate videos. So they're in alphabetical order, which turns out to be the same by either first name or last name. So there's no bias involved in selecting these. And we'll start with Jasmine Sherman. Let me share my screen here. And I'll wait till the allotted time of 1:05 to hit the go button. I've tried to zoom in on this, but it's a TikTok video, I think, and it doesn't get any bigger no matter how much I zoom in on it. So we're going to play the 3 presidential candidate videos. These are the 3 that are listed on the GPUS website. So Jasmine Sherman.
There's no sound.
Candidates that claim that they...
Thanks, Lori. I'll start over. Here we go.
Why are you entertaining candidates that don't have the same sense of urgency for what we are living through currently? Why are you entertaining candidates that claim they understand that you are impoverished right now? Candidates that claim that they recognize that the middle class is gone or defunct or depleted, and they have no day one solution for you. Now, we have some people, including me, who are talking about eliminating property tax, but that doesn't help people nearly enough, fast enough, because not everybody owns property. We have some people that are talking about, oh, well, we're going to change the way income tax works, but how long is that going to take them to negotiate? When will you see that savings? Some of the candidates are not talking about universal basic income. They're talking about ending poverty, but they're not telling you how. They're not providing you with a timeline, and y'all are okay with that. I mean, I don't know what your bank account looks like, so I'm saying, I'm being respectful. I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm not trying to be funny. But if you're broke today and you're talking to a candidate that doesn't want to get you money tomorrow, then what the fuck are we doing? Why are you engaging with them? Why are you about to take yourself out of a situation where you have politicians who don't deliver, who do not provide, who do not listen to what you are requiring, asking, paying taxes for? Why would you go from that abusive relationship to another abusive relationship? And I really want you guys to understand, I don't mean any disrespect, but at 65, all Americans should be able to retire. I do not think that we are in a position where we can continue to allow the elderly to lead our government. That is me saying, why are you considering voting for someone over the age of 70 who doesn't have the same life experiences as you, that doesn't have the same struggles as you, that cannot fathom what your basic human needs are today? You need help today. You need your bills paid today. You need health insurance today. Why are you entertaining candidates that do not understand that universal health care is a requirement for us to succeed? Why are you entertaining candidates that don't know that it is cheaper for us to provide everyone on Turtle Island with health care, quality health care, dental, vision, prescription coverage, holistic care? Why are you not making sure that all the candidates that are running, that you are entertaining, have those things as priorities? Why do we pretend that we are sick of imperialism, that we are sick of white supremacy, and then make phrases like, well, we want candidates that are going to give us stability? No, you want candidates that are not going to maintain the status quo of America, because the status quo of America is you not having any fucking money. It is you not being able to own a home. It is you not having a future. Voting for candidates that are going to give you stability. Right now, you've been stable in poverty. You've been stable in having nothing. You have been stable in working yourself to death. How many of you out here are doing more than one job? Hustle culture is not a flex like y'all think it is. In America, you should only be entertaining candidates that are telling you your one job, the one job you do already, should be enough. So many of you have children that you don't get to spend time with because you're working. But you're entertaining candidates that can't tell you when you'll have enough money so you'll be able to spend time with your family. You're entertaining candidates that can't tell you when you will be able to expect your health care. You are entertaining candidates that are not telling you what day they are going to fix the school system, what day they're going to give teachers raises. And for anybody that's like, they can't do that, why not? We use Microsoft Project in businesses all over the country. We can provide those timelines. That technology exists. So why can't candidates that have more privilege, more funding, more exposure provide you with things that we actually need in America? Why are you okay with being treated less than? Why are you okay with your children being treated less than? Everybody out here who claims to care about the trans community, what are they going to do to fix the trans community? What are they going to provide people? And don't get me wrong, I know I got called out for not having a trans policy, but enough of you called me out that guess what? I have a trans policy now. Why are you entertaining politicians that don't want to work for you? Instead, they want you to put them in office and they'll get around to doing a couple of things, maybe. We are at a state of late-stage capitalism that requires urgency. We are at a state of destruction in regard to our environment that requires immediate action. Why are we...
People are tired of being thrown under the bus by wealthy elites and their bought politicians. Tired of living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to pay the rent, locked in student debt and medical debt, child poverty doubling, rising diseases of despair, growing hopelessness. The political system is broken. The two Wall Street parties are bought and paid for. Over 60% of us now say the bipartisan establishments failed us, and we need a party that serves the people. I'm Jill Stein, and I'm running for president to offer that choice for the people outside of the failed two-party system. We'll put solutions to the crises we face, crushing inequality, endless war, and climate collapse. And we'll put these front and center in this election and on the ballot across the country. The ruling parties that got us into this mess aren't getting us out. Both parties are squandering trillions on the endless war machine, fueling conflict around the world, while tens of millions here at home lack food, housing, healthcare. Democrats have betrayed their promises for working people, youth, and the climate again and again, while Republicans don't even make such promises in the first place. And both parties are a danger to our democracy, expanding censorship, criminalizing protest, throwing competitors off the ballot, suppressing debates,
American people who have been systematically locked out of these debates.
rigging their primaries. So forget the pundits and the attack dogs who tell you to ignore your misery and just keep voting for those who caused it in the first place. Change won't come from the ruling elites. It comes from we, the people. And when we stand together, we can create living wage jobs for all Americans. We can guarantee an economic bill of rights with the right to a job, to health care, to housing, to food, education, and more. We can abolish student debt, medical debt. We can create a Green New Deal with millions of jobs to fight climate collapse and protect Mother Earth. And we can ensure our constitutional rights and freedoms and justice for all. We can end the endless wars and rampant militarism and use diplomacy and international law instead to end violence, occupation, and apartheid. We do have the power, and we can use it in this election to start building an America and a world that works for all of us. Go to JillStein2024.com and join us.
This bobblehead.
I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get aggressive. We got to make a change. I need your support in order to make these changes happen. We need transparency and we need accountability. We got to take new measures. We got to take risks. And we can't be scared and be fear of what's not going to happen. We already know what is going to happen. And so we need to take this opportunity to make a difference. The power's in your hands, but I do need your support.
Now, Green Party. Why Green Party platform? There's Republicans, there's Democrats, there's all kinds of parties. Why Green Party?
Well, the Green Party, the difference is this. The Green Party, they're not paid off. There's no lobbyist. They're not getting professional bribery from capitalistic companies. They're not on Wall Street. They don't have no interest into the dirty politics there. There is no super PACs that are attacking because they don't believe in attacking. It's a narrow path. It's a good path, and everybody's on a volunteer.
Everybody's a volunteer, yeah.
So there is a good sense of ethics and morals that they have, and so which I stand upon myself. If you stay on this narrow path, so to speak, you'll get to your destination.
Right.
I'd like to have an...
Whoa. Sorry for that blast there. I'll turn the sound back down. Jorge was a little quieter than the others. All right, and the next segment, following on from the presidential presentations, we've already discussed the process with Natalie of how delegates will be selected. We've seen the three who are recognized by the National Party. On the convention guide, we have their websites. So if you go in here in this segment, we have the links to their videos. You can review those if you wish and find other videos by those candidates. And then each of these links here are links to their website. So you can go out there and find out more information about those candidates and contact them if you're interested. So our,
There was a call coming in from Jason Paul, the Jill Steins campaign, and there's.
Oh, great.
We do have time, but that was a question for Natalie.
He should be made a panelist who's in the meeting.
Thank you so much. I didn't see that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I will, I think any of the co-hosts are able to do that as well. If you go to the participant panel and then up at the top, panelists are on the left and attendees are on the right. Is it the 503 number? That's the only call. Oh, wait, here's Jason. Jason, I'm going to allow you to talk. And
all right.
There you are. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, so no video?
Can you share it from are you on a phone?
I'm not on a phone. I'm trying to see, I mean, my video should be on. I don't have an option here. Let's see here.
I'm going to promote you to a panelist. When you come in as a panelist, you'll be muted. We'll need to unmute you again, and then you should be able to share. Yeah,
all right, there we go.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My campaign signs are behind me here because I'm also a candidate for Congress in Washington's 2nd District, as well as being Jill's campaign manager for the presidential race. So I'm happy to address the Oregon Pacific Greens. Appreciate you giving me a quick opportunity to speak about the campaign. You saw Jill's video. You're probably familiar with Jill. So I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about where the campaign is right now. Jill was actually going to be in Portland on Monday. I will be there with her. We'll be having a meet and greet at Propulsion Zone. I believe that's from noon to 1:30. We have a couple of local media opportunities, it looks like, and then we'll be addressing a student panel at Portland State University for a couple of hours, and I believe that's from 3 to 5 p.m. And then we will have a fundraiser back at Propulsion Zone in the evening, and I believe that starts at 6. So I hope we will be able to see many of you there. Look forward. I see Natalie's got a question coming in. Yeah, ballot access. So the Stein campaign is working on ballot access all over the country. We just secured ballot access in Hawaii, and we have it in West Virginia. We are waiting for word back from South Dakota. And our next big mountain to climb is actually next door in Idaho. So yesterday, or actually last week, I spent 4 days in the Moscow, Idaho area on the University of Idaho campus collecting ballot access signatures. We are very much in a time crunch for Idaho because the state legislature moved up their timeline in 2020. It was in August to have those signatures submitted. They have moved it up to March 15th. So we're about 3 weeks away from needing to have 1,000 signatures submitted. I am going to be traveling back to Boise next weekend. We do have a paid signature gatherer who is working out there, and we would love to invite anybody to travel to Idaho, in particular Boise, because that's the sort of ground zero for signature collections. And we need to get 1,000, and the constraints in Idaho are pretty egregious, but whatever you collect in Idaho has to be submitted to the Ada County Elections Board. So the county assessor, county elections board will notarize those. They will verify all the signatures, and then they have to be picked up and taken to the Secretary of State's office. Now, we will either have somebody on the ground in Idaho. We do have a connection on the ground in Idaho to do that. And if they're unable to do that, then I will travel back to Idaho to do that. But we do need, if you have the availability to go out to Idaho sometime in the next week or two, then we would certainly appreciate that to get ballot access. And this is particularly for Jill Stein. It's not the Green Party we're getting ballot access for. It is Jill Stein as a candidate. Right now, I am not sure how many people the people in how many signatures the people in Boise have already gathered. We're going to figure that out on Monday. I know we got a little over 100 in the Moscow, Idaho area, so at least that's a tenth of the way there. I don't know if I can answer any more questions, but please, if you think you can get out to Idaho, email me, jason@jillstein2024.com, and I'll give you all the information. We are confident we'll get it. We'll have enough people there to get it, but any extra help will be fantastic. Why Stein and not the party? The party, if we went for the party recognition, I think they require somewhere in the neighborhood of 17,000 signatures. But they are allowing Stein as an independent candidate. We would not be on as a Green candidate, but we would be on as an independent candidate, and everybody would know that we're the Green Party candidate. Every state has different rules. Idaho's rules are pretty wacky. If we get 5% of the vote in Idaho, then the party gets access in the following election. That's kind of how it works. But every state's different. I'm sure you probably know how this works across the country, in every state just having their own rules. So we have a ballot access coordinator who is very on top of the situation and knows what we need to do in every state. And so we're tracking that closely. We have signature gatherers all across the country. The coordinator is Rick Lass, RICKLASS @jillstein2024.com, but I can also give you information if needed. We would appreciate the assistance there. Thank you. Sorry, I gotta put my cat down. Other than that, Jill is embarking on a 3-week tour starting this Sunday on Denver. I will be in Denver. I will be meeting her in Denver, and then we are flying to Portland, and then we're coming up to my neck of the woods in Seattle, and then she's going down to Los Angeles, and then she's heading back to the East Coast, and actually sort of the Midwest. She's going to Virginia, Ohio, spending a couple of days in Ohio, including East Palestine, Ohio. Moving on to Lexington, Kentucky, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Pittsburgh. We're going to be meeting the Muslim community in Dearborn. We are going to Flint, Michigan. We're going to Benton Harbor, Michigan to meet with the Black community that's been impacted by essentially corporate malfeasance there. And then to Chicago, to Racine, Milwaukee, Madison, and then to Minneapolis. So we have a lot of stops. We're meeting with a very diverse group of communities across the country. I hope you can sort of track that along the way. Jill is making great inroads to the Muslim community. They have been reaching out to us for the Abandon Biden movement. And we have a very strong chance of being the official choice of the Abandon Biden movement with the Muslim community, and we're reaching out to the Black community for that also. Any questions? I'd be happy to take any questions.
There's one in the Q&A. I don't know if you can see that. I'll read it out loud for the full audience. Jason is a pro-vaccination, pro-HFA Green who deals with chronic health issues. I hope that your campaign will not pander to and promote policies which humor anti-vax zealots, including people who shall not be named at this time. I do, however, support dialogue around the unhealthy relation between our government and corporate-owned medical interests, and the means to create a real national healthcare plan, well beyond just Medicare for all. Your thoughts on any of this?
Actually, that's fantastic, and that's right along the lines of my own thinking. We will have our full policy platform up on the website. Hopefully by the end of the month, we are putting our finishing details in it. So I would say at the very least, we support a Medicare for all system, but our thinking is really in lines of a UK's NHS system where there's no private hospitals, there's no private practice. It is actually fully government controlled, and we take the profit motive completely out of it. And that includes, I caught the reference there, that includes nationalizing, or I should say, less triggering term, taking into into public ownership the pharmaceutical industry. A lot of the skepticism around vaccines with COVID did come from the influence of big money, and I think that that's understandable. There is money corruption in our healthcare system, so people are right to be skeptical about that, but we are 100% pro-vaccine. We are 100% ensuring that people in their workplaces and in public places and in schools have filtration, are provided the PPE that they need, N95s. All of this should be free. There should be no needing to, spend any personal money in a pandemic, in a viral situation where in particular the immunocompromised community is at risk. We should be providing these things and encouraging their use and saying, hey, if you think you got something, go take a test. I think one of the worst things that we did through the pandemic was not our federal government not paying people to stay home. I mean, people should have been paid. There should have been mortgage protections. There should have been job protections. People simply stay home. Let's get this, not allow this virus to spread. So those are our positions on it. And we do have a COVID/long COVID policy that will be up on the website.
I had a question just about you're intimately involved with the campaign, and I wonder if you have access to the polling numbers. I know you probably can't share all of that, but I am curious, are there certain areas, regions, or states, cities where you're polling really well, exceeding in previous year's numbers?
Well, there are a couple of recent polls that have come out. One in particular is that Jill is polling at 10% among young voters. That is the demographic that typically does not turn out to vote as much as we would like. The 18 to 34 demographic is young voters, and we're currently polling at 10%. A Quinnipiac poll that was recently released says that over 50% of the Black community is not going to vote for Joe Biden. Unfortunately, they did not have a Green Party name on that, but we did see that vote was split between Cornel West, RFK, and I think Dean Phillips was the other one on there. I have contacted Quinnipiac multiple times at this point and said, please put Jill on your next poll. But we feel like we are a strong contender to pick up votes with that community also. We do have a strong reparations policy, which everybody will be able to read when we get it up on the platform. And that's not the entirety of the Black agenda, but it is a strong part of it. And we have other items as well. And I did see somebody ask about other candidates' representatives, so I don't want to take up all the time here. If other candidates have representatives, please give them an opportunity to speak.
They don't, so we'll continue on for now.
Okay, fair enough.
I just wanted to shift gears slightly and talk about your campaign in Washington State, our neighbor to the north there. That's got to be a challenge running both the national campaign and your own personal campaign. Who are your opponents? What are the big issues there up north?
Well, I'm running against probably the most conservative Democratic representative in Washington State. He actually just split with the Democratic majority and voted to continue funding LNG extraction. He was one of 9 Democrats that helped the Republicans pass the bill, and he's one of those that I say often that if there is a representative, if there's a small handful of representatives that actually break with the Democratic caucus and help the Republicans pass terrible stuff, he is more often than not within that group. His name's Rick Larsen. He's the former chair of the aviation subcommittee. He is now the ranking Democrat on the House Transportation Committee. He was until this year, he was a former career member of the House Armed Services Committee. He gets a ton of money from the fossil fuel industry and the war machine. He has stated unequivocally that he would never support a single payer health care, so he has not signed on to Medicare for All. And we have a full detailing of his terrible career in Congress and the awful votes that he has made on my website at the Rick's Receipts tab. He voted for the bankruptcy bill. He voted for the banking deregulation in 2018. The you know, when the Silicon Valley Bank crash happened, it was tracked back to that piece of deregulation. So he is really the poster boy for when corporate corruption impacts the general public in a negative way. In fact, he's very tied to Boeing, and essentially in his position as ranking member and then chair of the aviation subcommittee, very much looked the other way when Boeing was, they call it streamlining, but basically they were cutting corners in the manufacturing of the 737 MAX. And then those two jets went down in Africa and Asia, killing almost 350 people. And the truth is that his leadership is at least in part responsible for that. So he needs to go, and there are many people. So I came in third place in the top two primary in the last two elections, running as a Democrat, but now running as a Green. I've got a great team behind me. We're running essentially all the same platform issues. So my district boundary, thank you, Lori. It goes from Snohomish County, which is the county right north of Seattle, King County, and it goes all the way up to the Canadian border. And it includes the islands in the North Puget Sound, the San Juan Islands, and Whidbey Island. Any other questions? Shall I hand it back to you?
Chuck Paul wanted to ask a question. I'm trying to get him to unmute. Chuck,
Okay.
Can you unmute? You're allowed to speak if you're there, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thanks. Ask your question.
Well, I see you're taking a strong pro-COVID vaccine position. But Jill Stein on the Kim Iverson show said that the steering committee of the Green Party pro-COVID mandate statement was illegitimate. And she acknowledged that investigations were in order. So how do you jibe what you're strong?
I actually can't speak to that. I have actually not seen her interview with Kim Iverson, and I can talk to her about that. You know, I don't know. Honestly, I have not talked to her about the mandates, and she may have a position that mandates are not okay, but I think, you know, having vaccines certainly available and encouraged to everybody, I would say that that's a minimum. Let me talk to her about that and get back to you, because I really honestly can't speak to that at this point, and you know, I'll get an answer for you.
Great, thank you very much. And with that, we can segue and talk more about Jill Stein's appearance in Portland Monday, I believe it is. And Justin, who's on the call, is one of the organizers of events up there. Justin, can you unmute? And are you prepared to?
Sure.
Great,
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're excited. When Jason contacted me and asked if we could put something together sort of last minute for Jill, I immediately said yes. And I immediately knew that I wanted to do sort of a student-focused thing because one of our goals is to get more young people engaged. And, you know, it brings, I think, some credibility to the party and the campaign to have sort of an academic discussion. So we're excited. We've got a couple of student leaders from the University of Oregon that will be there on Monday. One is a leader for SJP, which is Students for Justice in Palestine. Excuse me, I'm out of breath because I was working in the backyard listening. But and then we've got another climate speaker. We've got someone that's going to speak about justice for immigrants, and that's a Portland State student who's very engaged. We're still maybe hoping to lock down one or two more to join Jill, but the idea is each person will have a few minutes to present on their cause. And then Jill will speak for a little bit. Then we're going to have a little Q&A panel discussion where those student leaders will ask Jill a few questions and give her a chance to respond. And then we're going to open it up to the audience. So it's going to be in the Smith Memorial Student Union. That's on Monday at 3 p.m. Let's see, what else do you need to know? We'll have some folks greeting people at the door, hopefully some volunteers. Let's see. Oh, make sure you enter off the Broadway entrance if possible. They told me that is the best way to get into the building. We'll be in rooms 337, 338. That holds a little over 100 seated people, and they said it could handle some overflow. We've been promoting it heavily. The Portland Mercury has it starred as a recommended event right now. We've been publicizing it on campus. We've had volunteers drop off flyers. So we're really hoping for a good turnout. Ideally, I would love to be able to say that we couldn't fit everybody in. So if you do have interest in going, come early, get in line. The doors will open around 3 o'clock. And if anyone has any questions, I guess I could take a few of those.
Go ahead, Natalie.
Yeah, I would like to speak about the fundraiser, if possible. So we're going to have a fundraiser at a location, which is a really fun location. It's an art gallery that's managed by a network of artists that do community work. And a lot of them are Latino and African-American artists. They do, in March, they're going to have an opening for art by John Peltier from John Peltier. So I really encourage you to be involved. And at the fundraiser, Felipe has arranged for an artist to come and do portraits that are going to be sold as a part of the fundraiser. Felipe, I don't know if you're online, if you want to speak to that, but we really encourage everybody to come to the events. It's going to be a way for us to come together as a team, particularly in Portland, because of the races that are coming up for the city council next year. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen to show you a little bit what Propulsion Network is. So this is a Propulsion Network. This is where we're gonna the art gallery that we're going to be using for the fundraiser, and it's downtown. They do shows, and a lot of the shows are with they do a lot of work with people who are coming from behind bars and with the Latino community. And this is the art show that's going to be exhibited in March for Leonard Peltier. So this is the people that we're partnering with for the fundraiser. So come to the fundraiser. We need to make this a successful campaign, and we cannot do it without resources. All of the information is linked here to the website, the locations, Propulsion Zone, all of the information.
Yes, Natalie, thank you. And I can add that, yes, Hampton Rodriguez, a Dominican artist established in Portland. Maybe you have seen his art around, especially on the Met. Is willing to come to our gathering, and one of the ideas that he brought himself was, hey, I can do some personal, draft. He's a good painter, and I have few his art, and maybe we can, encourage people to open their wallet and take home their own portrait signed by Hampton. I think it's going to be a good idea, and try to support as much as we can. Thank you. I hope to see you all there. I'm going to be there.
And promote to your networks.
Yes. Well, thank you, John. Go ahead.
As a media guy, I just want to ask everyone who will be attending that event, please pull out your phones, get some video of Jill Stein and the crowds from different vantage points. That'll be something that the media team of the Pacific Green Party can put together. We don't always get candidates coming to Oregon, so this will be a great opportunity to get our own footage and to put together our own material to supplement a videographer that's been engaged for this event. Jason, did you have something else? I saw you unmuted there.
No, I was actually just gonna type in the chat that I've got to get going, but I very much appreciate the support. And I really look forward to seeing everybody on Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much and good luck in your campaign.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
The rest of today is about various campaigns that are going on and candidates that will be seeking endorsement from the Pacific Greens. Unfortunately, I don't think any of them are actually Green Party candidates. Natalie has the next segment, which describes several candidates. Oh, the one exception and the election that she's been promoting the most in meetings over the last month, and she couldn't talk about them until recently because it had not been officially announced, but that is Marnie Glickman in District 2 in Portland. And I understand that's going to be a real focal point, a real good chance of winning that election. So Lori, did you have something for us? Otherwise, we'll give it to Natalie for the remainder of today's meeting, and then we'll wrap up around 2 or whenever Natalie's done and just give a preview of what's coming up tomorrow. I also want to mention that we've received some messages in the Q&A about people on the phone being able to ask questions. So what we're going to do is try to figure out, is that something we can recreate, we can reproduce that issue. We'll have some folks from our tech team jump on their phones, join the meeting, make sure they're able to do that. And if there are specific instructions, if there is something tricky about it, we'll try to put together some screenshots and a document. And Natalie, I understand we have a special guest who's present. So would you like to introduce the candidate?
Yes, good afternoon. The first candidate that I want to introduce is Marnie Glickman. She is a longtime Green Party member, extremely qualified. In Portland, we're electing a whole new form of government using single transferable vote, and we have public financing of campaigns. So there's a very high possibility that Marnie is going to get elected. Let me just put it that way. And she would be one of the highest elected Green Party officials in the country. So with that said, Marnie, please take it over.
And when we add you from an attendee to there you go. You need to unmute a second time. Thank you.
Great. And I have how many minutes? Hello, everyone.
Take as much time as you want. I'm going to contact Andy, make sure that he's there. I'm going to speak for Mike Schmidt's campaign because they're the campaign.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Marnie Glickman. I first became a Green in 2000, and my first registration was with the Pacific Green Party. I'm really happy to be here and meet all of you. So I think I'm going to just talk for a few minutes to introduce, 2 minutes to introduce myself, and then we could maybe have questions. The facilitators are okay with it. So I live in Northeast Portland, and we are having an election in November. And I decided to run to make Portland a safer and more livable place for everyone. And as some of you know, Portlanders are really frustrated with city leadership, uninspired, pissed off. And I have the experience and vision to solve our city's biggest problems. And I can't sit by and watch Portland continue to crumble. So I first moved to Portland in 1992, and I have 30 years of experience helping bring people together to make change. And I'm really asking for your support and help in Portland and across the state. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my greenness. So I became a Green in 2000. I was the first person to work for Ralph Nader's presidential campaign. I started it out of my house. And I think that's when I met Natalie 24 years ago. And I have worked for people and political nonprofits all over the country. And the reason why I decided to run now is because I'm a former elected official. So when I lived in California, I was elected as a Green to a school board. and I served 4 years. And having that experience gives me a lot of things to talk about as a candidate. I think I'd rather open it up for questions because I'm not used to Zoominess. What do people want to know about me? I've been a Green for 24 years. I was co-chair of the National Green Party. I've done a lot of stuff. Can we have questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think we should like engage. I don't want to be a used car saleswoman.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Who are your competitors for District 2 and what are the main issues in that campaign?
Thank you. Thank you for the basic questions. So there are 20 candidates running in District 2. The top 3 win. And that's one of the special things about this campaign. So I, among other things, I'm the only Green running. I am one of the incumbents on the city council's running, but I'm the only person, in addition to Dan, who has been a local elected official. And it's kind of like a wild free-for-all. So top issues. As many of you know, people in Portland really care about more housing and more shelters. And that's the #1 priority that I'm talking about. The second one is community safety. So not just safety in a narrow way. So when we start talking about safety in Portland, the average 911 hold time is 50 seconds. And the national average is 20 seconds. So I want to start from the beginning to end about 911 call time reducing, making sure Portland Street Response is its own entity and fully funded. And I work through all the levels of safety, including pedestrian safety and cycling safety. And then the third catch-all I'm talking about is transparency and accountability, which means honest government, good government, no backroom deals. In Portland, we have some experiences. The most notable one probably is the city council caving to Zenith Energy. So those are my 3 top issues that I will be talking about.
Thank you. And of course, homelessness is front and center in most of the campaigns here in Oregon this year. I'm down in Eugene.
Yeah.
We've regularly been identified as the city with the highest per capita rate of homelessness in the nation. And there's a lot of discussion about expanding the UGB, the urban growth boundary,
Yes.
taking up more of that forest and farmland that was protected by SB 100 50 years ago, and using that to help address our housing crisis, our homelessness crisis. So if you've been asked, one of the questions in the Q&A is, could you please address your solutions for solving the homelessness crisis?
Well, I think we need to bring more urgency and more accountability for our specific goals. So that's one thing, just being clear about goals. Are we reaching them or not, and why? The second thing is, I really support changes to our zoning policies. I support inclusionary zoning. I am interested in making sure that we expand the number of citywide, expand the number of places where we can have more than 2-story housing. And, I will give an example which really pissed me off. Since I'm among my friends, the Greens, for example, the Portland City Council considered removing the requirement for bird-safe glazing and eco roofs in order to build more housing. So I do have a line. So I will not sacrifice environmental protection to increase the amount of housing. We don't have anyone saying that right now. And I think that's important. So, and we can do both. We can have more housing and environmental protection by holding the wealthy and corporations accountable.
Thank you. There's also a question about any endorsements that you've received to date.
Thank you. Well, it is a nonpartisan election. And so I have the PACs are starting, they're starting to send me the questionnaires and the unions. So no one has made decisions yet group wise, but I have the endorsements of Governor Kate Brown. I have the endorsement of Metro Councilor Mary Nolan, who represents North and Northeast Portland. I have the endorsement of former state rep Jefferson Smith, who is the founder of the Bus Project. I have the endorsement of the first Green ever elected in Portland, Michael Sonnleitner. I don't know if he's here. If he's Michael, thank you. I have the endorsement of someone in the district who was the senior vice president of the National Abortion Rights Action League. And so I'm starting with people like that.
I'm checking the Q&A for more.
Is that Lori Burton?
Questions here.
Is that Lori Burton?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Lori, hi. I'm back.
I know, I am so excited.
I know, I can't wait. Well, I have lived in Oregon on and off for 17 years. So some of you know me and many of you do not, but I really am clear because I run and served as a Green in California that we can really do this. And I need every single one of you to get excited, and you can call me and you can figure out ways that you can help, whether you're Lori, not in Portland, whether you're in Portland and not in the district, but this can be a really big campaign. So my budget's $250,000. And as you can see from the endorsements, the Democrats remember me and are okay with me. Some of them. Okay, what else do you want to know? I'm really excited to be back with all of you.
There's a couple follow-up questions about homelessness and then one final one about identifying as a Green, even though it's a nonpartisan race. So I'll just read all of them.
Okay.
And then you can address all of them.
Okay.
How about homelessness prevention? There's no point in putting a bandage on the wound if the artery is still spurting.
Yes.
Police accountability, anything to be done there? What do you think is the root of homelessness, and what will you do to eradicate it? And running in the nonpartisan race, will you identify explicitly as a Green, or is running as a Green seen as a liability?
Well, I'll start with the last one. I'm so Green, you guys. I mean, if you Google me, I am beyond Green. So I was on the cover of the Oregonian, 20 years ago, as the co-chair of the National Green Party. So I'm so Green that even if I wanted to, I'm a Green. So it's basically you can Google me. So I'm a Green. All those Democrats who endorse me know I'm a Green, and they endorse me because they understand I have my integrity and I'm not a Democrat. I haven't been a Democrat for 24 years, and I won without being a Democrat. So yeah, I'm a Green. Let's move to police accountability. This is a really important part of community safety. So the root causes of homelessness is poverty and our economic system. And as a policymaker, I am not operating just on the level of Band-Aids. And I will do my best to address root problems along with get stuff done to help people not suffer quickly. It's tricky. And so I think a part of it, as we all know, one city council member of 12 in our county, in our state, in our nation, on earth, I'm going to do my part, but it's a big system problem. And in that also, involve when you ask about prevention. So yes, I'm a whole systems thinker and kind of humble about the facts of what 1 of 12 people can do in Portland. But hopefully you read my website and bio, I've stood up to big corporations in one. I ran as a Green in one in California. So I do know it's possible to make big changes. And then regarding the police. So in Portland, Imagine Black has a pledge that, you know, I will not accept any police money and I will not accept the endorsement. And that's the first and easiest thing to do. The PPA just, I think, proposed, or it's going on the ballot, a measure to roll back citizen accountability. I will do everything I can to fight that. And, you know, I really feel some confidence in a special interest in this issue of police violence because I'm a martial artist. And I know that you don't need to hurt people there's gratuitous violence that I'm very interested in stopping. And I would also say I've been really involved with Moms Demand Action here. So working on gun violence, not just from the police, but from people, is something I really care about.
Hey,
How is
Mom,
that?
That was perfect. We're gonna have Andy Asen come on now. Thank you so much.
Okay, so please, everyone volunteer. I'm marnieglickman.org. You'll be hearing from me. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Marnie.
And donate,
Andrew.
so she can get matching funds.
And then Andrew, you may need to unmute. Let's see. Yeah, I'm asking you to unmute. When we promote you up to come on stage, then you need to do it. There you go. And you should be able to share your screen also.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen right now?
I can. It says you are sharing screen, and there's your website on your mobile phone. And we can hear
Perfect.
you clearly. Thank you.
Great. Okay, I'll make this brief. So I'm Andrew Austin. I am running for District 5 congressional candidate. My campaign is focused on some of our district's biggest issues, I think not only for our district, but also plague Oregon as a whole. And I'll go to that page. Homelessness, of course, is a hot topic. Affordable housing, making sure we work together in bipartisan collaboration and education. I am a part-time educator, so I am passionate in this realm. I think also very important and hold equal stance are making sure that we have equal rights. We support our small businesses. We're focusing on sustainable infrastructure. We're protecting Native American and Indigenous people, all while keeping Oregon green, and ensuring when we are promoting education, that we're not having college as the only option, at the same time as when students are graduating from upper programs, they're not left with thousands of dollars in debt, because it's hard to start, life off when you're drowning in debt. A big question I often get is, what is District 5? So I want to show the map too for that. It's changed as of 2023 with the restructure. So you can see in this little map here that it encompasses a lot of the valley, and then they added a chunk into Central Oregon. I think there is a better depiction down below. This is kind of still a little blurry, but it encompasses south end of Bend all the way up through the start of Jefferson County into parts of Salem, through Marion County, Lane County, and Clackamas County. I am born and raised Oregonian. I have lived here my entire life outside of Stenton, California. And I am excited for what's to come. I currently, like I said, am an educator. I also serve as the director of Zone 5 for the Deschutes Soil and Water Conservation District, and a member of the public who they are appointed positions through Deschutes County for the Cannabis Advisory Panel. So we decide how cannabis tax dollars are spent in Deschutes County. And that kind of leads the way into helping with homelessness, because I believe a big issue with homelessness is not only poverty, but also mental stability, which comes, it's weighed heavily with substance abuse. And a big initiative with the tax reform was having a large portion of cannabis tax dollars throughout the state of Oregon go to help mental programs and rehabilitation programs, and just hasn't been implemented properly. So the very brief overview of everything. So I have, I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And I just want to ask a little bit about your work on the Soil and Conservation District and those local boards. You know, how did you get started in service and working on the local boards and commissions? Was there training? Were there some mentors? This is a direction that most Green Party members have available and open to them. They can serve on these generally volunteer boards and commissions. How do you get started doing this?
That's a great question. So for me personally, I got started just because I saw the need. So there was an open position for the Deschutes Soil and Water Conservation District in 2020, and no one was running for it. So I put my name in as a write-in and was elected to that position. I had no formal training. They kind of just throw you in a position and you have to learn, you know, all the acronyms and kind of what you're doing in that role. And that opened up the window for other positions. So when the county decided to start a board for input on how our tax dollars would be spent involving cannabis in the unincorporated and outside areas of Deschutes County. So, you know, not the major cities such as Sisters and Bend and Lapine and Redmond. I thought that that was important to make sure that that money would go to resources that I valued, and I know a lot of my friends and family valued. So it's been a constant learning along the way, and I just love being able to have my voice in our local politics. And then I saw the need to take it to a much bigger level, and so that's where we got to today.
And that's quite a jump. How do you organize a campaign for a congressional district? How do you get started doing that? Seems like a daunting task.
It is very daunting, and I am still trying to figure out everything along the way, to be quite honest. There are a lot of people running. I have the ballot page open to kind of show, as far as the Democrats are concerned, we have all of these guys competing for, obviously, the Democratic nomination. I believe Jamie McLeod Skinner will be their nominated candidate. And then, of course, we have our current holder of the seat, Lori Chavez, who I think goes against a lot of the Green Party and a lot of my personal values. And she has a lot of big money behind her currently. I believe she has $1 million+ to spend on, you know, smear campaigns and stuff. So I'm taking what they're doing and I'm trying to do it better and more ethical and not smear along the way.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. We'll get with you and find out what you would like to ask from the Green Party members. how we can help you. We're just out of time for today's meeting, so we have to close today, but we'll get that information from you and share that with the rest of the members on our website. So thank you again so much for being here. And I love that picture of your big dog. What kind of dog is that?
He was a lab. He actually just recently passed away at 15 years old. So I'm keeping him in spirit. He's been part of my campaign. I need obviously more professional pictures, but I was like, well, you know what? That's just another element that I'm adding more of this is who I am, very transparent Oz. So he will live on in our campaign.
I'm sorry
you guys
you
so
lost your family member there. We recently lost ours, a big fella like that too. And yeah, just he's still with us.
Yes, always will be with us in spirit. And thank you guys all so much for your time and listening. I really appreciate it.
All right. That is it for today. We got through 3 hours of today's session. A few technical glitches. I believe the biggest one had to do with people on the phone being able to ask questions. And we tried to answer that. You're able to raise your hand. There's a note in the chat about that, that you can hit. I think it's, let's see, and you should have received in your email with the invite for the meeting, there should have been complete instructions, but we're told that if you use *9, you're able to raise and lower your hand and we can recognize you. So hopefully we will be able to resolve that and the phone participants will be able to ask questions tomorrow. So tomorrow, big day. We're going through a lot of the Pacific Green Party bylaws. We are also going to elect the party candidates for the state coordinating committee and to represent us in the national. So thank you all so much for being here today. And we will see you again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, tech team. Great job. Great communication in the chat. And if any of you are interested tomorrow in doing more of the, moving people from attendees to panelists and learning how to do that and gaining some experience for our next time, you're welcome. I'm going to jump on a few minutes early, like 10:45 or so, to try to set up and again to try to get Facebook going. We'll work on that overnight, but you're all welcome to participate on the tech side too. So thanks again to everybody. Great job today.